Hello. This week, which is week 3, we're going to talk about using assessment to inform instruction. Our objectives for the week are that you will use observation to analyze a student's phonemic awareness and ability to decode. You will be administering assessments to analyze a student's phonemic awareness and ability to decode. You will apply knowledge from your observations and assessment tools in instructional practices for reading and writing. And you will participate in group discussions in order to construct new knowledge for yourself. And you will also be learning from others through the discussion forums. This week, we are specifically talking about Maury Clay's observation survey. On Moodle, up here at the top, under course resources, there is an introduction to the observation survey, and then it lists the 6 tasks that are in the observation survey. Please read these carefully. It has been called to my attention that the page numbers in these PowerPoints are based on the 3rd edition, not the 4th edition. And I take full responsibility for that. I did not get those changed. However, a few days ago, I sent 2 documents about the observation survey and the tasks that are in the survey. One was for the 3rd edition and one was for the 4th edition. So on that 4th edition document, the page numbers are correct. Now I want to look at each task with you. The first task is the letter identification. And this PowerPoint tells you exactly what to do, exactly what materials will be needed. What information will you gain from the letter ID? Well, you're going to know what letters a child can identify. And how does the child identify the letter? Do they know the letter name? Can they identify the letter by sound? So instead of giving you the letter name, they can give you the sound and still receive credit for that? Or can they tell you a word that begins with that letter and still receive credit for that letter? If you have questions about any of these tasks, please ask me. It's extremely important that when administering the tasks, that there is no instruction taking place at all. The teacher language is very scripted by Clay. That way you're able to get a true reading of what the child is able to do and what the child will be ready to learn next. So the first task is letter ID. Word reading is the second task. Again, there's directions in the materials. When you have the word reading task complete, you're going to know if the child has begun to accumulate a core base of high frequency words that can be read fluently. The third task is the writing vocabulary. Again, here are directions and materials needed. The writing vocabulary is going to tell you, does the child have good letter formation? Does the child have some high frequency words that he or she can construct from memory, correctly sequencing the word? What knowledge of print is evident in the child's writing? Does the child write left to right, top to bottom? Does the child know that there are letters in words? The next task is hearing and recording sounds in words. And there is a difference in the 3rd edition and 4th edition of hearing and recording sounds in words. But both of them will enable you to see what a child can hear and record when writing. Again, does the child start in the upper left-hand corner? Does the child write left to right? Does the child have return sweep, that's going down a line, returning to the left after writing a line of text? Are there spaces between letters and words? Are they hearing just beginning sounds? Are they hearing ending sounds? Are they hearing beginning and ending? Are they hearing any middle sounds? Are they hearing the sounds in sequence? Are they recording the sounds in sequence? In the 4th edition, hearing and recording sounds begins on page 116. The 4th edition has the new sentences that replace what is in the 3rd edition. And these sentences in the 4th edition have 50 scored phonemes in them. If you have the 3rd edition, go with that. If you have the 4th edition, use that. The new sentences are on page 118 in the 4th edition. You're going to get the same information from both, really. It's just the 4th edition has more phonemes. Concepts about print or cap is our next task. Directions, materials needed. And what you will learn from this is, what does the child know about how print operates? Where does child begin to attend to print? What direction does the child move across a word or through a word? I just want to caution you, this task I feel is the most difficult task in the observation survey to administer. Clay gives us very specific directions on how to administer this. I would suggest practicing what you are to say and using the book as you do this before administering it to the student that you're tutoring. It can be very awkward at first if you've never given it, because you're going to be saying things and using the book at the same time. For example, the very first item, you're going to pass the book to the child and you're holding it vertically by the outside edge with the spine towards the child, and you say, "Show me the front of this book." Second item, "I'll read this story, you help me. Show me where to start reading." Where do I begin to read? And then you read the text on page 2. So look at that teacher language and the teacher action for administering CAPS before you try it with your student. Running records. As I said earlier, many of you are familiar with running records from Developmental Literacy and Developmental Literacy Lab. If you are not familiar with them, I emailed everyone a series of videos from YouTube done by Rhonda Hayes. I would highly suggest looking at those. This is also good information for you, but Rhonda in her videos actually demonstrates what she wants you to do for a running record. If you have questions about these tasks, please ask me. Read things very carefully. Forum 3.1 is looking at the first 3 tasks of the observation survey. You're looking at letter ID, word reading, and word writing. Once you've administered those, think about what are you learning that will guide your instruction with that student. Your tutor sessions, if you have a first grader or even a at-risk second grader, the survey is going to give you so much information to help with your tutor sessions. Forum 3.2 are the other 3 tasks, actually 2 tasks. Hearing and recording sounds and words and concepts about print. If you have questions, please ask me. Now I want to look at your lab assignment for week 3. Hopefully all of you have already administered the spelling inventory, and from the feature guide that you had to complete, you should have some information already about your student. Does the child know initial consonants? Does the child know final consonants? If not, that's where you begin. Words Their Way, where the spelling inventory comes from, has many activities online that help you with these different spelling stages. Does your student have short vowels under control? Digraphs, blends, long vowels, other vowels, endings, syllable junctures, unaccented final syllables, and affixes. Does your student need help with bases or roots? So, as I've said before, in week 8, you're going to have basically a case study on your student. First grade, if your student's in first grade, you should have given the letter ID, hearing and recording sounds and words, and that's only 1 sentence. You don't give them all of the sentences, just 1. You should have a running record, the San Diego Quick Assessment of Word Reading, which you can find online, and writing samples. Now, when looking at writing samples of students of any age, it's not just about penmanship and letter formation. You want to look at, can the child get the idea from his or her head to the paper? When we talk about teaching writing, we talk about techniques, strategies, understandings, conventions, and questions. Techniques are basically the craft of writing. And Katie Woodray, in her text about the author, talks about the kinds of things that we teach on page 86 and 87. You know, conventions are often what we focus on the most. Capitals, periods, spelling. But we also want to look at the child being able to get thought onto paper. Second and third grade, the tasks are hearing and recording sounds and words, running records, San Diego quick assessment of word reading, and writing samples. Fourth and fifth grade, running record, San Diego quick assessment of word reading, and writing samples. These assessments are going to be part of your final project. You're going to be referring to them in your project and supporting that with your data that you've gotten from these tasks. If you have questions, please ask me.